Yo, welcome back to Eat, Sleep, Breathe, Hoops with your boy Nikki P once again. Thanks for tapping in as always. It's always appreciated. You know what it is. I appreciate y'all rocking with me. For the ones watching every video, or even some of them, greatly appreciate y'all, man. Keep rocking with me. I'm going to keep churning them out. And yeah, we just going to keep at it. Let's get it. This video, y'all see what it is, man. We're going to dive into some of the worst basketball injuries that you can sustain, the top 10. We're going to rank them in order. And then at the end, we're going to go over, a couple tips on how to avoid some, sometimes you're just going to get injured, and that's what it is. But some injuries are definitely avoidable, depending on what you do outside of just the playing time. So let's jump into it. Basketball it's an incredibly physically demanding sport, as you already know. Athletes are constantly pushing their bodies, their limits, competing in a high-intensity environment in games with intense speed, power, and agility. However, with the thrill of the game comes the risk of injury, just like with any sport, almost any sport. For professional basketball players, injuries can not only affect their careers, but also alter their lives permanently. Today, I'm going to discuss the top 10 worst injuries that a basketball player can sustain, share some examples of notable NBA players who have endured and sustained these injuries and, a lot that have came back from them. And finally, as I was mentioning a little earlier, explain how proper hydration, stretching, and recovery can play a crucial role in preventing these injuries, along with a few other things. So number one, we're going to go from the worst, the very worst, starting with number one and work our way down to 10. So number one, an Achilles tendon tear or rupture. The Achilles tendon connects the calf muscle to the heel, and when it ruptures, it can severely limit a player's mobility. Anybody out there that suffered an Achilles tear, whether it was from basketball or something else, you could hardly walk. And, the recovery time is extremely lengthy. This injury often occurs during explosive movements, such as a quick jump or a sprint or a cut or a leap, just something that takes explosion, and sometimes that explosion is a little too much stress on the Achilles. Kobe Bryant, one of the NBA's greatest, tore his Achilles tendon in 2013. Despite his determination and strength, this injury marked the beginning of the end for his career, affecting his agility and speed on the court. But with that said, he was built differently, because you saw how he came back in his final. He was still one of the best, probably top 5 players in the league before the injury. Came back and dropped 60 in his last game, man. Ain't nobody else doing that. Number 2, ACL tears. The ACL tear is one of the most dreaded injuries in basketball. The ACL is critical for stabilizing the knee and allowing players to cut, pivot, and jump. A tear can often sideline a player for a full season or longer. This injury is caused by sudden pivots, jumps, or landing awkwardly after a jump. Derrick Rose is a prime example of an ACL tear's devastating impact. In 2012, he tore his ACL during the playoffs, derailing what was supposed to be a breakout year. Despite efforts to recover, Rose's career was never quite the same, even though he was still really good after he came back. He wasn't quite that same MVP caliber player. Let's see how truly great this dude could become. Because, man, he was vicious. And he struggled with repeated injuries after that first tear in his knees. And, shout out to him for powering through, enduring, and still carving out a lengthy career. And he got an MVP to his name, man. Not too many people could say that. Number 3, broken legs or fractures. Fractures to the tibia or fibula, often caused by collisions or awkward landings, can be career-altering. Such injuries can sideline a player for months and in some cases result in long-term complications. Paul George suffered a horrific broken leg during a Team USA scrimmage in 2014. His tibia snapped, and the injury shocked the basketball world and even made a couple guys drop out from Team USA at that time. However, George made an incredible recovery and returned to elite form, showing the power of resilience in the face of adversity. And sometimes a clean break is better than some other things, because that bone can heal completely. Some other things, if it's muscular or tendon related, may not quite be exactly the same as it was before. Number 4, concussions. Concussions in basketball typically occur after a collision or an elbow to the head. While some concussions are mild, others can have long-term consequences and can even end a player's career prematurely. Chris Bosh's career was derailed by blood clots that led to a diagnosis of a chronic condition. But the NBA has also seen a number of players suffer concussions, including players like Kyrie Irving. A concussion can lead to long-term neurological issues, especially if you sustain multiple, and is a major concern for player safety. A torn meniscus, which is also, messing your knee up. The meniscus is cartilage in the knee that helps absorb shock. A tear in this area can cause pain, swelling, and a limited range of motion, often requiring surgery. Zion Williamson's career has already been affected by multiple knee issues, including a torn meniscus. This has limited his playing time and raised concerns about his long-term durability. And quite frankly, the young dude needs to lose some weight, man, for real, and get in better shape, work out more in the off season. Not just work out, get your stamina up, you got to do everything. You got to do everything better, low key. Number 6, a dislocated shoulder. A dislocated shoulder happens when the upper arm bone pops out of the socket. This can occur from falling, colliding with another player, or making an awkward movement. It can be extremely painful and usually requires surgery or long-term rehabilitation. Chris Paul, despite his long and successful career, has suffered from multiple shoulder injuries, including a dislocation, which has limited his ability to stay healthy for full seasons. Kevin Love also suffered a pretty bad shoulder dislocation back when he was with LeBron on the Cavs, and I believe in the playoffs against the Celtics at one point in time too. So yeah, those shoulder dislocations are no joke. Number 7, a broken foot. A stress fracture or a full break in the foot can be another devastating injury for a player. It often results from the constant pounding of high-impact landings, such as stops, sudden stops, or the repetitive nature of running and jumping. Joel Embiid, a dominant center for the Philadelphia 76ers, missed 2 full seasons due to multiple foot surgeries, including a fractured navicular bone. This injury raised questions about his durability, though he managed to come back strong. Hip flexor strain coming in at number 8. The hip flexors are responsible for the movement of the legs and stability when running or jumping. Strains or tears can occur with overuse or sudden, forceful movements. A hip flexor injury can cause strains, discomfort, and impede a player's range of motion. Steph Curry, not really known for his speed, but known for a lot of movement on the court throughout the course of a game, running back and forth from screens, getting out in transition, has battled with multiple hip injuries throughout his career, including a hip flexor strain. These injuries have sometimes sidelined him during critical playoff runs. And if y'all remember Isaiah Thomas, I call him Isaiah Thomas number 2 because number 1, y'all know who that is, one of the GOATs from the Detroit Pistons team, Bad Boys. But Isaiah Thomas that played for the Celtics, if y'all remember him, he had a pretty bad hip injury too. He was playing, at an MVP candidate level. And was out there balling, man, and then had a hip flexor strain or hip flexor injury, played through it, and then just wasn't the same player after that, and Celtics kind of did him dirty and released him, even when he put his all out there for the squad. You know how business goes, unfortunately. Number 9, back or spinal injuries. Back injuries in basketball can range from herniated discs to more serious issues that compress the spinal cord. These injuries are particularly concerning because they can have life-altering consequences beyond just physical ability. Greg Oden, one of the most promising centers in the NBA at the time when he was drafted, had a career severely affected by knee injuries but also suffered from back problems, which limited his mobility and ultimately led to his early retirement. T-Mac also had his fair share of problems with back injuries and back pain as well, so it can sometimes take a pretty lengthy time depending on what the specific back injury is. But anything lower back related, that could take a minute to completely heal and then to get back to regular strength too. And coming in at number 10, last but not least, groin strains, which are no joke. Groin strains occur when the muscles of the inner thigh stretch or tear. It's a common injury in basketball due to quick side-to-side movements, fast breaks, and explosive changes in direction. LeBron James, one of the most physically dominant players in the NBA, and one of the most physical players too, has battled groin injuries over his career. In 2018, a groin injury caused him to miss a significant amount of time and led to a disappointing end for the Lakers in the postseason. While injuries are inevitable and they come with sports, you can't have one without the other. So while these injuries are inevitable parts of the game, players can significantly reduce their risk through proper care of their bodies, and that's for sure, 100% certain. Hydration is extremely key, and although it's extremely key, it's also one of the easiest things to forget to do because you're just not always proactively thinking about drinking fluid and drinking water, and it could be easy to forget when you're just not thirsty at the time. You know, that's just natural. So you got to be proactive about that and be cognizant about it. It's essential for muscle function and recovery. And I mean, at the end of the day, our bodies are between 60 and 70% water. So it makes sense that the more hydrated you are, the less injuries you'll sustain. For the most part, you know, you'll be able to avoid some stuff. Dehydration can cause muscle cramps, fatigue, and increased risk of strains and tears. Proper hydration helps maintain joint lubrication, regulate body temperature, and keep the body functioning at its best during training and games. NBA teams are constantly emphasizing hydration, especially during the grueling schedule of back-to-back games. Players like LeBron James are known to hydrate rigorously and pay attention to their fluid intake. I mean, look at Gatorade. They made a ton of money off them commercials promoting hydration. Stretching and warming up is key and also something easy to forget. Stretching, enough. Proper stretching and warm-up routines are vital for maintaining flexibility and preventing strains. A good warm-up helps prepare the muscles and joints for the demands of the game and can prevent sudden injuries from rapid movement. A dynamic stretching routine before playing and a cool-down routine after ensures the muscle recovery. The legendary Kobe was known for his rigorous stretching and pregame routine, focusing on mobility, flexibility, and preventing injuries. His dedication to his body played a large part in his ability to perform at a high level throughout his career, despite dealing with many injuries and playing through a lot of, ailments that other players would sit time out for. And Vince Carter just had, a 20-plus year career and barely hung it up recently, this past season, I believe. I mean, and he specifically is noted saying that a huge reason why he was able to sustain in the league for so long was due to stretching. So, yeah, it's extremely important. And it's a common theme. Sometimes the stuff that's easiest to forget is the most important. And then recovery. Recovery encompasses more than just rest. It includes proper nutrition, sleep, techniques like ice baths, massages, or even cryotherapy, and all the above. Recovery is an essential to repairing muscles, ligaments, and joints that have been put under the stress of high-intensity games and training sessions. The recovery programs used by players like LeBron, who's famous for his attention to sleep, nutrition, and off-season conditioning, are vital for longevity in the NBA. He has openly credited his recovery routine as a key factor in maintaining his health and playing into his late 30s. Basketball injuries, from ACL tears to dislocated shoulders, can have a profound impact on a player's career, no doubt. However, by adopting a comprehensive approach to hydration, stretching, and recovery and nutrition, players can significantly reduce their risk of injuries and ensure they're able to perform at their peak for long durations of time. The key to a successful, long, and lasting career in basketball doesn't just lie in working hard on the court, but in taking the time to properly care for one's body off the court. Essentially, if you really want to be as nice as you possibly can be, you'll put just as much work in on the court as you do to recovering and making sure your body's right and eating right and making sure you're in peak condition to be able to go dominate on the court. That's the whole point. You get in that type of shape to be able to dominate night in and night out. Players like LeBron, Kobe, and Chris Paul, who have invested in recovery and body care, have shown that with the right approach, athletes can extend their careers and recover from injuries that may otherwise have derailed their careers. And a player like Michael Jordan, I mean, people are lucky today that all the type of work he was putting in off the court wasn't necessarily caught on camera because there weren't camera phones and filming wasn't as readily available then as it was now. But just imagine the type of work he had to put in, 1, to become the GOAT, 2, to dominate every year and completely kill, dropping 30 plus on seemingly every year, and to basically play 82 games almost every season in a physical league where you could get roughed up a little bit, everything wasn't a touch foul. Imagine the type of work you had to put in on your body and on recovery and just maintaining your health outside of just the gym and hooping and getting your game right. I'm surprised, I'm surprised you hear talk about players going to Kobe to help them with their games. I'm surprised players don't become a sponge around Michael Jordan and just soak up as much knowledge as he could possibly give them in terms of on the court and off the court when it comes to taking care of your body. I'm sure it will help some of these young cats, especially in today's era where it's not as physical. So with that said, I hope y'all enjoyed this video. Went through the top 10 injuries that a player could sustain. Let me know what you think, and you think I'm missing something. You think some injuries should be ranked differently, but you like the list. Shoot, holla at me. Get in the comments section. I'll be sure to reply back. It may take me a little bit every once in a while, but I got you. Appreciate y'all. Once again, this is Nicky P, and you know what channel this is, man. Eat, sleep, breathe, hoops. And with that said, I'm out. Peace.